Veteran Podcast. Thank you for your service.
All right, everybody, we are back. Bulletproof Veteran Podcast. This is the holiday special, so I hope everybody is just excited for the holiday season, and I'm excited about our two guests that we have on today. We have Shannon Corbeil and Erikka Davis. They are from PinUps for Vets, and we're going to be talking about what they have done to raise money for VA equipment, military hospital equipment. They also just boost morale. That probably is the biggest thing is the boost in morale by visiting people that are in the hospital, they're by themselves, going overseas, visiting deployed troops, things like that. It's such an important thing. And the history of the pinup and keeping that alive, I think, is just amazing. So, Erikka, Shannon, thank you so much for coming on the show with me. How you guys doing?
Great.
Very good. Well, first off, I'd love to hear a little bit about both of you. You're both veterans. And I love to hear the story, the background, how you guys came up and came through, and then how you got attached to PinUp for Vets. So, Erikka, why don't we start with you? A little background. Tell us a little about yourself.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in a really small town, and when I was 17, I knew I wanted to be part of something bigger, so I enlisted into the Army as a military police officer. So we were stationed here at Camp San Luis Obispo in California. We were deployed to Iraq in 2003, 2004. And now after I got out of the military, I knew that the civilian transition to civilian life was a little difficult. And so I was very lucky. I mean, it's been a while since I've ETS'd, but I found a great organization with PinUps for Vets, and getting to meet all these fabulous veterans and female veterans and having that bond is very special. So that's helped a lot with civilian life and being a vet. So.
Yeah, we talk about a lot on this show because that's really kind of what the focus of what most of my guests come on to talk about is that kind of transition and then making the most of your veteran life. And I hear it time and time again is having that mission once you get out is the most important thing to a healthy transition out of the military. You know what I mean? I think so often people get caught up in that no man's land of, okay, I'm not in the military anymore. Maybe I didn't find my career yet, so now I'm just sitting around waiting. Well, Erikka, thanks again.
Yeah, I'd say mission and community are both really important. And like you, Erikka, PinUps for Vets really helped connect me with the veteran community after I got out.
It definitely does.
I'll go back and start. I joined the Air Force. I did ROTC after 9/11, and when I graduated, I commissioned as an intelligence officer. I did my intel training at Goodfellow in Texas, and then I went to Osan Air Base for a year, and then to Fort Meade to work at the NSA and do some cyber threat analysis. And once I finished my commitment, I came back to my home state, to Los Angeles, California, and that's where I met Gina and PinUps for Vets. And for quite a while after I got out, I was very soul sick from the military and didn't connect with the military community at all until Gina found me. I like to say she collects veterans. Gina Elise is the founder of PinUps for Vets, and she added me to her collection. And it's been wonderful to get to meet other women, veterans and other veterans in the community. And then also having some service after service is something that helps connect even further and do some good.
Yeah, no, definitely. Now I know the Fort Meade area. I was stationed at Andrews, which is for intelligence. There's a lot that goes on there as well. There's headquarters for OSI.
Langley's close.
Bowling's close.
Yep.
There's a lot going on in that area.
Yeah.
What did you think of DC area?
I loved it. I loved it. I lived in Columbia, Maryland. It was beautiful there. I could walk through the woods along a lake and get to the mall or the grocery store or something. I mean, so that's my ideal, is getting nature and all the conveniences of shopping goods.
Very cool.
I loved it there. It was beautiful.
Very cool. Yeah. Yeah. People generally, DC is one of those places. I guess it's a lot like New York or LA, where you either love it or you hate it. Like there's, I was stationed with a lot of people who love DC area, and then other people, they could not wait to get their next base assignment. They just wanted to get the hell out of there.
Oh, how
and get out.
interesting.
Yeah. That's the way it is. I mean, look, I'm from New York. New York's the same way. I have friends who are like, I could never live there. And then there's people that'll never leave.
Yeah.
So take me through a little bit of why PinUps, a little bit about where PinUps, came from, and why it's kind of like the driving force for your organization, and this idea of morale and raising funds.
We're both like, who wants to
It's up to you.
do it?
I'll leave it to you guys.
So I know that Gina founded PinUps for Vets in 2006, and she wanted to raise money to help veterans who are coming back from the wars at that time. And she decided to do a calendar, and she decided to go with the PinUps theme based on World War II pinup nose art. So she does a really classic pinup look from the 40s and 50s time period. And what's really neat about it is that we've found that the bright colors really help brighten veterans' days when we do hospital visits. So I think that it has transcended just that nose art and has become something that is just really bright and colorful and happy. And that's what we try to do as an organization, is bring positivity and joy into rooms. And personally, I like a nice full skirt, like the twirl skirt, and other girls really like the wiggle dresses, and but the bright colors, I think, are what really make the work we do extra special.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like you were talking about the nose art, that's a big part of the Air Force community. I mean, you even see it still today with, the A-10, you still have that's an iconic look,
Mm-hmm.
and, the bombers and that type of stuff, back in the day. It really was an important part of World War II. It was
a big part of morale, and it wasn't always pinups. My favorite is my grandfather's B-25 Mitchell had a man in a little, he looks like Ebenezer Scrooge, like in those night gowns for men with a little candlestick, and his plane was called the Bedroom Commando. But
cool.
That little bit of that sense of humor, or the reminders of home were huge for the morale of our troops who were fighting.
Wow. It's great. I'll tell you that it boggles my mind that we have to raise money, say, for the VA and for military hospitals. I was talking to my dad just earlier. I was telling him that you guys were going to come on and talk to me, and he's like, "Oh, so what do they do?" And I said, they sell a calendar, and the money goes to raising money for the hospitals, for veterans. And he kind of was like, yeah, why do we have to do that? So you guys have raised a lot of money. I mean, you're talking like $70,000 just for rehab equipment. So like, Erikka, if you could tell me a little bit about why is it so important that we fund the VA more than what they're just getting from the government? Because a lot of people are probably like, why do we have to give more money to the VA? They're funded by the government.
I think the answer lies in the question is to why. Why do we have to go and take these extra steps to help our veterans? I'm honored to do it. I love doing it. But yeah, it's really unfortunate that outside sources have to step up and fill those holes that our VA hospitals are experiencing, especially with the medical equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Boosting morale is not just beneficial for the veterans that we visit, but it's also beneficial for us. But that equipment that they are needing is so important for either physical rehabilitation, which is where a lot of that equipment is needed. And it's just yeah, it's sad. It's why do we have to do that? It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
My hope is that conversations like the one that we're having and the work that we're doing as more veterans are drawn to Gina's organization, that we'll be able to start spreading awareness about this. And like my dreams for the future are that we can start engaging with Congress and talking about the defense budget and how they're allocating funds and their responsibility of our government to take care of the servicemen and women who serve and make sure that their needs are met after they are used and utilized during their missions in the military.
Yeah, I mean, I work with a couple organizations more on the toxic exposure side of things, so burn pits, that type of stuff.
Yes.
And you hear it just time and time again. When you talk to a civilian, say, and you explain to them what you're doing, they're like, well, why isn't that's covered? What are you talking about? So a lot of it is awareness, because civilians aren't getting involved because they don't realize there's a problem.
Yeah.
They think this stuff is all taken care of. How many people will say, yeah, you could just go to the VA and they'll take care of you. You're fine. So, but you guys are a prime example. You're subsidizing the VA with needed equipment. And then, like you said, add in the morale section of it. And what you guys are doing is just so important. So when you guys go to, say, a hospital and you're going to go see some veterans that are there, what is that tour like? What is that experience like? I mean, it has to be amazing for you guys and for the vet as well. You know, it's got to be a two-way street where it has to lighten you guys up to be able to do that for them.
Yeah, the tour is emotional from beginning to end. And even on some of the drives home or the flights home, it's just, you're going back through all the stories that you heard throughout the day and all the faces and the people you met and the smiles that you brought to their faces. It's an emotional roller coaster. You feel good. I reference it as to like running a marathon. Like you're completely exhausted, but you feel so accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
Just being able to talk to these veterans and hear their stories and share your stories with them. And the look on their faces, honestly, when you tell them that you're a veteran is priceless. They're like, wait, what? And then their whole demeanor changes and they're like, they start talking Army and they start talking veteran talk and Navy, Air Force. And it's really something special to see these people just come to life and just be happy, even if it's only for a couple minutes. It's pretty special.
Yeah, it has to be. I mean, you know, you're changing I would say you're not really changing their day, you're changing their life, because for some of these people, I'm sure they don't get any visitors. And right now with COVID, nobody's getting any visitors, which is horrible. But it's a reality that these people probably go long periods of time without seeing anybody but the service people that are in the hospital with them. That's it. Then they get to see you guys walk in, full dress up, like you said, the bright colors, all of that, and that'll just change your entire life. You know,
it really, in a hospital, that type of interaction and engagement and connection can mean the difference between a good and a bad day.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing that I always keep in mind. And I always wish that we could have more time with each bed. And you know, sometimes they're also seeing to their medical needs. So sometimes they're tired and it's just perfect to make it short and sweet. And sometimes you're having a really strong connection and you might stay and talk with one vet much longer while, you know, the girls continue to visit. And guys, we've got guys who come volunteer with us. But yeah, it is really incredible. That's probably one of the most powerful things is that connection. And like Erikka said, when they find out most of the ambassadors are veterans, then it becomes that kinship of sharing stories, and you're kind of in the know, and it's fun.
Yeah, the lingo almost instantly changes once they find out that you're a veteran.
The lingo, you know, the just how you carry yourself, it's totally different.
Yeah. And it's great because, you know, we are such a tight-knit community. I mean, listen, we rib each other, different services, inter-service banter, you know, we make fun of each other all the time. We're rough on each other, but we are a very tight-knit community. When you hear somebody else is a veteran, you want to help them. It's a brotherhood and a sisterhood. And, you know, you instantly have a connection with them. It's the biggest fraternity in the world. You know, we know how each other kind of work, you know, because veterans are wired a little different. I think, you know, it changes you once you go through basic training and you go through, you know, a tour of service. Now, when you guys go to, say, these hospitals, you've been to 71 different hospitals in the United States. About how long is the day for you guys? Because, like Erikka, like you said, it's very taxing. I mean, it's got to be going from room to room. You're on your feet the whole time. You know, emotionally, there's a lot involved if the conversations get heavy. You know, but about how long is that day for you guys?
It could be a pretty long day because, especially when we're doing an out-of-state tour, Gina is very efficient as just with everything she does as a coordinator, as a project manager. So it won't just be one hospital. If they're like, I did a Vegas trip with her, and it was not like how other people do Vegas, because it was multiple hospital locations, you know, because it's not just VAs, it's also military hospitals. It might be long-term living communities. If we have the opportunity, we want to help spread the word in local towns. So we're probably doing some kind of press component, doing an interview. There might be a photo shoot of some sort. So she's trying to, like, what is the maximum that we can get out of this trip to help make the effort go the longest that it can. And these trips are all funded by donations, by trip sponsors and stuff. And so we want to make sure that they are getting their money's worth. We'll also often do a meet and greet with local supporters, and so people can get to know us and we can meet other veterans who aren't necessarily in hospitals, but who are in the communities, you know, and that's how we get to expand our network of friends. And yeah, Erikka, you've been a lot of places. What have I missed? I mean, you're great. You organize things. Erikka's so good as a leader. She takes initiative and plans, like, you've planned stuff up where you're living. And
I think the furthest I've been with the organization is Virginia. Melanie and I visited Richmond.
Dream team.
Last Christmas. Yeah, and so it was a beautiful area. And we were sponsored by a veteran who is a local dentist there in Richmond. And so it was really nice to meet him, his staff. He actually had some of his staff join us on our VA visit, which was really nice. They were so excited just to see what we do and to dress up and to meet some veterans and get involved. So that was a fun trip. It was, and we of course we had an interview in the morning. And then I think we arrived at the VA hospital probably around 11 o'clock, and we didn't leave until a little after 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So we made the most of our time, met a lot of veterans, and made an impact. So I know we're doing a 50-state tour. We haven't reached all 50 states. I know we kind of have our eyes set on Alaska. So when things pick up again, hopefully soon, maybe we can revisit that plan as far as going to Alaska and visiting some of the VAs over there. That would be ideal. So
yeah, that would be awesome.
Being positive.
Yeah. Now you say when things pick back up. So, you know, COVID has surrounded 2020, obviously. What has it done for you guys? Because, I mean, most of these hospitals, you're not even, I mean, I was in the hospital recently. My wife couldn't even come in, you know, so have you guys been able to do any virtual stuff? I mean, or is it just basically really shut down right now?
I think we've been trying to redirect our efforts towards raising funds in creative ways and sending rehab equipment to hospitals. I know that Gina just donated really incredible elliptical machines. I think she was sending me pictures from Tennessee where they received some equipment.
She posted some stuff on Instagram this morning of some of the
so trying to still fulfill the mission for, because VAs have slowly been letting inpatient treatment happen. Making sure that when vets come in, that they've got the equipment that they need for any pains. You know, as we know, COVID isn't just affecting people who get COVID, but all of the other complications, people are having to put off pain treatment because there are fewer in-person visits. And so I know that one priority is to make sure that when vets do get to go in for treatment, that they've got the best equipment possible.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, some of that equipment that she was posting this morning, I mean, it was beautiful stuff. I mean, this is top of the line gear that's going into these places. And for some of these older hospitals, this is the newest equipment they've probably ever seen. You know, we talk about World War II, probably some of the equipment's from World War II. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yeah. And when you've got an injury, that type of equipment can make such a difference in your rehabilitation. And so many people don't know that VAs, military hospitals, have kind of a wish list of things that they want. Anything from equipment to help with TBIs, traumatic brain injuries, or amputations, and great exercise equipment to start rehabbing limbs and the musculoskeletal system. And so Gina's really good she's got an eye for what hospitals need and getting them that equipment.
Yeah. Yeah. And the equipment that's just so important, like you said, you know, it could be the difference of a 3-month rehab or a year rehab, having that right piece of equipment.
Yeah. If you can walk in pain and walk out without pain, and that is huge. I mean, chronic pain is something that really wears down your morale and your quality of life. And when you're already isolated because of COVID and you're in pain, I mean, this year has been a real hardship and a recipe for some serious struggles. So trying to get ahead of that, trying to identify that, and trying to stay connected with people is the best thing that we could do.
Yeah. And it just, again, goes back to that whole morale building thing. You know, so much of what you guys do is morale building. Even the donation of the equipment goes directly towards morale. Like you said, dealing with chronic pain is, you know, a driving force to mental health. So if you deal with that chronic pain in a proper way, your mental health will always improve. I've had plenty of people on the show that have talked specifically about that, and how close, as their chronic pain has gotten worse, how close they got to suicide, how close they, you know, went down very dark paths, opioid addictions, things like that, because you'll do anything to just feel okay for a little bit. And you know, it's a dark path if it's not cut off. And what you guys are doing is amazing. I'm very impressed. I must say. I do want to hear a little bit about the photo shoots. So my buddy and I we are amateur photographers from when we were back in Italy. And we used to do our Time Life cover competition. So we'd go out into these small towns and stuff like that, and you take some black and white photos, and, you know, our friends would model and things like that. We had a blast. It was so much fun. But you guys are doing like professional photo shoots. These are calendars that are going out. They're going to be sold. Did you guys have any experience with modeling prior to this, or did you kind of just hit the ground running? Here I am.
I definitely did not. I am a tomboy through and through. And so just the thought of having to wear red lipstick was very frightening. So Gina has definitely peeled back these layers that apparently I had built up, that I unknowingly did so, and exposed a whole other version of myself. And so modeling was never on my mind, and it's been quite a journey experiencing these different aspects of the organization. The photo shoots are a lot of fun. I know we did kind of a mini photo shoot, Shannon and I and Megan, before we did the jump with the Golden Knights. And so that was, I was more interested in getting them set up and getting photos set up, and less about me. I just wanted to make sure that they were taken care of and they were on the right track, and we had a mission, we had stuff we had to get done. And so that photo shoot was extremely awkward for me. And then the calendar shoot was the first photo shoot for me, and it went very quick, and I'm like, all right, we nailed it. All right, nice. On next, let's go. Next project, let's go. I was starting to have fun with it. And so, yeah, it's very, it's a very interesting feeling for me to be like, oh, photo shoot, sure, let's do it.
I have two things that I want to ask you about, Erikka. So I want to put a pin in our Golden Knights shoot at the Madonna Inn. But you're also a mom. So is there another component to the times when you get to pamper yourself, when you get to have your hair done, you do makeup, when, you know, if Gina's dressing you, is there another component to that for you, getting to that? I mean, that's like another layer of getting in touch with your feminine side and the maternal side.
Yeah, I mean, I am a boy mom. I've got 2 boys. And so I have mastered the mom hair bun and t-shirt and jeans. I'm like, I got that nailed. So like the thought of using a curling iron and putting on makeup, which I lovingly call war paint, is definitely, I'm learning. I'm still learning how to do some things. So yeah, just setting that time aside for myself is very uncharted territory at this point. So my boys are 10 and 8. So yeah, they keep me on my toes. And the distance learning thing, I am a slave to their schedule. So anything outside of that is just extra credit.
It's funny that you asked that question, Shannon, because my wife, I dropped my daughter off at daycare this morning, and I got home. My wife was upstairs and she was doing her hair and putting on makeup. Now, we are not leaving the house today. Mm-hmm. Mostly for safety reasons, because the people are crazy out there today. I mean, everybody's all over the place getting ready for the holiday. Yeah. And I said to her, I said, you're getting dressed up? Are we going somewhere or something happened? She's like, no, I just wanted to do my hair and makeup without a 2-year-old grabbing me or screaming or you needing something or, you know, whatever the case may be. So it's kind of funny that you asked that, because I dealt with that this morning, and I walked in and here she was. She was, like you said, break the curling iron out or whatever the case may be. And it kind of took me by surprise. But then when I thought of it, I'm like, you're right. You probably feel great right now. You feel a lot better about yourself because you were able to do that.
For me, and I'm still exploring the relationship between strength and beauty, because I feel like growing up, I was told it's one or the other. You know, there's like, there's beauty and there's prettiness, and that's a girly light thing and it's trivial. And then there's strength, and that's to be admired, and boys are strong, you know, and girls aren't as strong as boys. And like, I always wanted to be strong. I always connected with the heroes and the stories. And, you know, I joined the military and I was very like focused on that mission. And then, but getting in touch with my feminine side and the way that I dress myself, the way I present myself, it changes my attitude. And so this exploration of being able to care about my appearance, care about how I look, or care about how I'm dressed, and what makes me comfortable, what makes me feel confident, and also still being worthy of respect or being strong is something that I'm constantly trying to balance, especially the more I engage with the military community. Is that true for you as well, Erikka?
Yeah, I mean, being a female in the military is, you have to put up those walls, and not just to prove to other people, but to prove to yourself that, yeah, you can keep up. And then being an MP on top of it is even more so for me. And even when we were deployed to Iraq, it was a very unique situation having females in an authoritative position. We had a lot of the females in our unit either cut their hair really short, and or like for me, I refused to cut my hair. I worked too hard to grow it out. So I put it actually in a rag and I hid it underneath my Kevlar. So I looked like I didn't have hair for the majority of our deployment, but I didn't care. I mean, I had to cling to that to some degree. So yeah, it's been a difficult transition. It's happening. I've seen a huge transformation in myself, but it's still that little struggle, like every day, especially with being in quarantine. I saw something on Facebook. Someone said, if you're wearing jeans in quarantine, what are you trying to prove? I mean, it's just that it's that extra step, but it's also that reminder, like we can do that. It's okay. Like,
right.
Gina had us do a video at the beginning of quarantine back in, I think, April or May. And it was PinUps in quarantine. And so wanted us to submit these little kind of, what are we doing all day dressed as pinups. And so I decided to film myself mowing the lawn dressed as a pinup.
That's
and it
awesome.
was fun. I had so much fun. And I was cutting the bushes with my electric cutter. Don't know what it's called. Sorry.
Hedge clippers.
I mean, it was fun. And I got to be feminine. I got to be feminine for a day. And it's Gina is constantly reminding us that it's okay to be this way. Like, this is fun. This is what you need to do for you as well as other people. It's just to build ourselves back up.
See, and I love hearing this because, you know, as a girl dad, I want to raise a strong daughter. I want her to be able to protect herself, and not be run over. You know, I want her to know what she wants and go after it. And I had a lot of female friends in the military, and I know it's not easy. I could only imagine, because they probably didn't tell me all the stories. You know, so I could imagine some of the other things that happened that they didn't tell me. You know, but hearing you guys talk about this blend of femininity and power is what I want to be able to kind of tell my daughter and be like, see, you can do it. You can look beautiful and you can body slam a dude if you need to. It's cool. You know, you can do both. So I really appreciate what you guys are doing on that front. And I think it's so important that we see female veterans as a integral part of our service. You know, you're not to be marginalized in any way. And you starting to see, like you said, you're in combat zones and you're in more and more of combat roles. So it's very different than it was, say, 10, 15 years ago, where, you know, it would have been more garrison, more behind the lines. Now you guys are in the thick of it, which is awesome to see, because you should, if that's what you want to do.
Yeah. I think that there are, I think what we're really seeing, especially in our society as a whole, is an exploration of what strength is. Mm-hmm. You know, there's warrior strength, there's battle strength, where it's literally a power over the opponent, you know, the enemy. When we come home, hopefully there shouldn't be an enemy that you have to fight, that you're actually a combatant.
Right.
And so then what does strength look like? And I think that we've always thought of it as that aggressive power, you know, that dominance type of strength. But I think that we're starting to learn that there are other types of strength as well, just the strength that comes from mutual respect and from knowledge and from looking at the skills of your team and being able to properly apply those, and creative thinking. And it doesn't always have to be that aggressive type of energy. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really where the balance of traditional masculine and feminine archetypes come from. And I know that just staying connected with the military community, with the men in it, with the women in it, is something that is helping me explore what those types of strengths are and when we need which type and in which scenario, you know, especially once we're back home. Yeah.
And I think another thing that is an example of strength is kind of tossing that fear aside. And Erikka, you talked about it, and Shannon, you talked about it as well. You know, there has to be a level of fear to get in front of a camera, you know, be vulnerable and allow yourself to be photographed like that. And, you know, that is strength, to just toss that fear aside, or at least put it behind you and say, I'm going to do this anyway. You know, maybe I'm a little uncomfortable. Maybe this isn't my normal thing. Like Erikka, like you said, it was the first time you did it. I'm sure you were nervous. I mean, you'd be crazy if you weren't. But that's a show of strength to me, is to be able to toss that fear aside. And goes right to my next point. You guys jumped out of aircrafts with the Golden Knights. Please tell me a little bit about that, because that must have been awesome.
It was really awesome.
That's awesome.
So the Golden Knights is the Army paratrooper team. Like, these guys are professionals. Mm-hmm. And one of their initiatives, in addition to world competitions and you know, landing the American flag at the Super Bowl and stuff like that, is that they find members of the community throughout the states, and they take them on morale building skydives. And so they approached PinUps for Vets, and they were like, who are your
Who's gonna do it?
daredevils? and Gina asked Erikka, me, and a Marine, Megan Martin, to come jump with them. And Erikka, here's coming back to that pin. Erikka, you were like, oh, we've got an opportunity to jump. Let's see what else we can turn this into. Hospital visit, news interview, photo shoot. Like, you organized this was the first time that I really got to see you take the initiative and turn this into an entirely this opportunity to help share our goals and our organization with more of the world. Take it from there.
Now, you guys did, I'm assuming it was a tandem jump. So you were strapped to a professional. How high was the jump? Do you remember?
I think 14,000.
I think it was 14,000 or 13,500. Maybe it was 13.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that.
Now, I've done a tandem jump. I did it when I was in Italy. The gentleman spoke no English, did not count to 3 before he jumped out. I think he counted to 1 if we got to 1, and just kind of rolled out of the plane. I'm hoping you had a little better experience than that.
I had a fantastic experience. I was very nervous. I'd never jumped out of a plane before, and they knew that I was in good hands. And so I wasn't going to say no. I kind of had a year of saying yes to everything that Gina asked. And so this was one of them. And then, like Shannon said, I have here in my hometown, it's a little small, we have a news station, KSBY, and they were interested in doing a story on us that they were going to air on Veterans Day. And so I told Christina, I said, hey, this is a good opportunity. You got 3 of us together. I'm going to kind of organize a little photo shoot just to kind of a behind the scenes look as to what we do. And then they were supposed to follow us to the jump, which they ended up not doing, but we ended up doing a VA visit later on, which they were able to help out with. But as far as that's concerned, the jump itself was pretty amazing. I was not so scared as I was nervous. So I have that weird look on my face where I just don't say anything. I have zero expression. I'm like a duck on water. Like, I'm just cruising, but my feet are just like going like this.
Yeah.
So I remember Megan coming over and just putting her arm around me. I'm like, oh, that feels nice. She's a Marine, awesome, just amazing veteran. And so I remember during the orientation, they said, if you have any kind of sinus congestion, or if you've had a sinus infection with the past 2 days, we recommend you not doing this.
Right.
Well, I was on the 3rd day of a Z-Pack. And I know, I'm like, I'm going to go up there. My head's going to explode. I'm like, I better catch it on camera. I'm like, this is going to be gnarly. And I was so nervous about that than I was about just jumping out of a plane and like plummeting to the ground. I just did not want to, I just didn't want to make it ugly. But we did it anyways. And I had the best tandem jumper with me. He was amazing, Noah. And yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah, so with the Golden Knights, they do a tiny video for you, so you get to take that home with you.
Very cool. So
on the whole thing, they have music to go with it, and they videotape you falling out of the plane, which is, for me, was not a pretty sight. Like, I never would have seen my face with that much wind in it again. But it was so much fun, and at the end of the day, we were just like completely exhausted with just adrenaline. It was great.
And like you said, you turned that into a whole day of, you went to the hospital. So your adrenaline must have been through the roof. And then now after that, you're going and you're visiting vets. That's like, you're piling everything into that day. So you definitely were probably tired when it was all done.
It was a fun day. I know Shannon, Megan, and I we FaceTimed Gina, and we were just talking to her, and she's like, well, how was it? And we're like, and so yeah, Shannon was just like, let's do it again. Like, okay.
Oh my God. So I had gotten my jump wings in the Air Force. I did 5 unassisted jumps. So I did the free fall program at the Air Force Academy, where you pull your own chute and it's just a 10-second delay.
Okay.
So getting to do a tandem jump with these guys, and they tell you everything, you know. My jump master or tandem instructor, Ace, is he's like, and this is what you're going to do, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this. But what was so different for me with this one is kind of waddle together to the aircraft, and I have to just hold the chute. Well, he gets to hold the airplane. So I'm basically going like this, looking over the edge of the aircraft and then diving head first. Very different from my military one where I'm looking out the door behind and then just stepping out and looking at the plane. So this was eyes on earth, like the whole time. And I mean, they are so good at what they do. They land right on the target, standing up. They take care of you. These guys are the best in the world. I mean, it was incredible. And yeah, then the adrenaline crash. I don't know how they're doing 20 jumps a day. We're all like, I wish we could stay and sleep one more night.
When we went in Italy, we went with probably about like 20 or 30 people from the base, and we drove down to it was right on the Adriatic, so we drove down there, and it was kind of like this whole like day, and we jumped on the first plane, so we actually got to watch everybody afterwards, and we were all sitting there and we're judging them. All right, who's gonna fall, who didn't land on their feet, you know, who looked like they basically are crying the entire way down, you know. Plus, we got to mess with everybody as they were walking to the plane, like, yeah, you might not make it, you know, you will. Do we have to go to legal? What's happening here? So I mean, we had a blast. We had a great time. And again, total professionals, even though they didn't speak the language, they did everything they could to make us feel comfortable outside of not counting the three. I'm still a little mad about that. Tried to trick me, and I know he did that on purpose. But that's just, I love hearing stuff like that, because you guys, for all the work that you're doing, and it's volunteer, you know, you're volunteering your time, you're part of a 501c3. So it's nobody's getting rich doing this work. You're doing it because you love doing it. So to have a reward like that, an experience like that, it's well-deserved, you know, and it's got to be something you'll remember for the rest of your life, you know.
It was one of the greatest days, greatest trips. I've kept in touch with my tandem instructor.
Oh,
like,
cool.
we're buddies now.
Very
At least
cool.
I hope he feels that way. Yeah, I mean, it's such a cool program. They do such a great job. I'm so grateful for stuff like that. And it's another way, you know, they're doing it to help show Americans, hey, this is your army. These are the soldiers who are out there for you. You know, these guys, you know, before they became, you know, before they joined the Golden Knights, these guys had jobs in the army. They're out deploying, they're doing everything. I mean, these guys are incredible. So it makes me feel very proud to be represented, you know, to have our military represented by men like them, and women, obviously.
Yes, of course. No, it's great. It really is. And you know, anybody who's seen the Golden Knights do some of their more show type stuff,
it's incredible.
Amazing, incredible stuff. I mean,
yeah, these guys are world record holders. I mean, they're competing. There's a different Olympic team, I know, but like my tandem instructor Ace, I think, is the third fastest free diver in the world. Like, I'll get it wrong about it. I mean, he's got over 6,000 jumps. Like these guys are incredible pros.
Real deal. This is real deal.
Yeah.
So what is going to happen in 2021, do you think? So do you guys think you'll get back into going to the VAs again? Are you guys close to that? I know you have a calendar coming out, you know, obviously the 2021 calendar, you know, and I've seen, I went through the website and I saw some of the pictures, love some of the photos. They really came out great. You know, and, you know, I hope that you guys can get back to doing your normal work. Has that been discussed yet? Are you waiting for any certain thing to happen, or, you know, how does that look like it's going to kind of play out?
Safety's paramount. Gina is never going to even shoot. She had to shoot the calendar during the pandemic. And so doing it meant she couldn't fly anyone in. It had to be local people, one model at a time, 6 feet away. Hair and makeup were full face shield, full masks. The photographer had to stay more than 6 feet away. He had his mask on the whole day. Gina had her. I mean, so we won't be able to do hospital visits until there's herd immunity. The vaccines are going out, so that's great.
We're one step closer.
Exactly. What I would love to see, something that I'm starting to work on, is trying to get a pen pal program going so that our volunteers can write to veterans who are still, this has been a long and lonely pandemic. And until it's safe to do in-person visits, we just want to keep finding ways to raise spirits, raise money, raise morale, and stay connected with each other.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it now, it's unfortunate, but now would be the time that we would need your services more than ever, you would think, you know what I mean? Because people are not getting visited as much, it's very difficult. My wife and I used to drop stuff off at the local VA here around Christmas time, just gifts, cookies, stuff like that. And you can't do that now. They're not taking the donations. For again, safety's paramount. You have to do it. I get it, but this is the time when all that stuff's needed, so it's such a double-edged sword, because it's like, we want everybody to be safe, but we really need you. And we need people doing what you guys are doing. So the pen pal program sounds awesome. I'd love to see
send those robot scooters, like the iPads.
Sheldon. It was on Big Bang Theory when he made himself on the iPad.
Yeah.
I always think about that when people are like, can you visit VA hospitals? I'm like,
well, we have the technology. Come on.
Yeah.
We're one step away.
I know.
But no, I mean, I hate that it's kind of, we have to protect the veterans that are there. Obviously, a lot of them are probably high risk. We have to protect you guys. But again, like you said, there's got to be a way that we can kind of still provide that morale boost and still raise money and still get this equipment into the places where it's needed. So, I really hope that continues and you guys can keep doing that. Where can people get the 2021 calendar? So that's already in production. You can get it now, correct? So if listener wants to get a calendar, they want their money going to a great organization, how do they do that?
So you can purchase the calendar at PinUpsForVets.com. We have even previous years also available. If you wanted to purchase a calendar for yourself, you can, or if you want to purchase a calendar to give to somebody else, Gina does a lot of morale boosting shipments overseas to our troops. So all of those calendars have been purchased by gracious donors. So we also have some merchandise on the website, just some fun stuff, especially for the holidays. I know it's a little close to Christmas right now, but in the future, we've got a lot of fun merchandise, and so PinUpsForVets.com.
That's awesome. And now you can donate there as well, correct? So even if you just wanted to do a donation, there's a link on the website to do that. I always love promoting people going to the websites and donate if you can. Money's tight, but all these things are going to great causes, and organizations like yours don't survive without the donations. They just don't.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing, is making sure you guys can keep doing the work that you're doing. All right. Well, you know what? I'd love to hear any last minute thoughts from you guys. I think we've covered quite a bit of stuff, but Erikka, last minute thoughts, philosophies on life, the holidays. You want to get Zen with it, that's fine too.
No, I just want to thank you for having us today and helping us share our organization. And thank you to all of you who have served and continue to serve. And you're in our thoughts and our prayers this holiday season. And I very much look forward to getting back out and doing what we do. It's become a part of my life and who I am. So without donations and everybody helping out in some aspect, we couldn't do what we do. So thank you to everybody, and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year and Happy Holidays.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Shannon, you, what would you like to say as we exit out of this and we go into Christmas and all that fun stuff?
For anyone who is listening, come find us on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We're PinUps for Vets. We love to engage with people. And, you know, the biggest thing I will remind people, the vaccines are coming. Herd immunity is coming. We are going to beat this pandemic. And the best thing that we can do is stay home, wear a mask, stay safe so that we can get through this as quickly as possible so that we can all get back to the life that we knew and so that we can start visiting hospitals again and getting people the care that they need again. So just keep faith, stay strong, stay safe, and reach out and connect with people online. We're so lucky to have it. Unlike, you know, in 1918, 1919, like we get to look at each other, we can see each other's faces, and
Right.
we are going to be with each other in person again soon. So just keep faith, stay strong, take care of each other, and happy holidays.
Well, again, guys, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been a blast. I love what you all are doing. And when I saw, I actually found you guys through Instagram.
Yay.
And when I saw it, I was like, I want to talk to somebody from this organization because it's awesome. I love it. You know, anything that I can do to help and promote what you guys are doing, I will do it. And I will keep getting the message out for you. Hey, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year. I hope you guys have a great holiday. Enjoy your loved ones. I hope your kids have a blast opening presents and all that fun stuff, you know, and have fun with your mom and quarantine, you know. Like you said, there is an end. It will end one day.
We got this. We got this.
Definitely.
Thanks so
Everybody
much,
stay
Jason.
safe. Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. You guys have a happy holiday, okay?
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.